There we go. Alrighty, so welcome everybody. It's a really honor and a pleasure to have you here present on today's live call. If you don't know already, my name is Alejandro Salamone, and yeah, I'm very honored to be here to share and to just be a vessel for this transmission and to open the space for not only sharing but also weaving together. And the idea of sharing is it's such a non-linear way to interact with each other, with things in life. And for me, this is a way to come here and to be brave and to trust and be more in my embodiment of my journey of myself beyond this vessel of the body, and just allow to be in the space with you all here, and whatever comes through that needs to come through, that it will resonate and it will serve you at the most at highest for you, for yourself. And that is my intention here. It's just to be a clear vessel, a clear channel to share here. And there might be things from my experience as well that I'll be sharing as well. But for the most part, it will just be the space where I can just be a channel. So, welcome everybody. And we have lots of wonderful people here today. It's always interesting how it goes. There's new phases, which is always good to see. Sometimes there's different amounts of people that come to these lives, but it's always the right ones, always the people who are really are called to this. And so it's really beautiful to also be in presence of that as well. So I want to honor all of you who are here, tuning in, devoting and opening your time out of your day, out of your life to be here. And I want to, from there, open up to the good stuff, get right to it. I want to share with you all that I actually I went to bed at 5 in the morning. It's 9 a.m. here. I went to sleep at 5 in the morning, and I spent all night conversing deeply with a dear brother of mine, and what I call weaving, not just talking about life itself, but in this vulnerable space of not just sharing, but tuning into the heart space and the allowing of that which, whatever we perceive is in here, there's far more that is available within that space when we allow the safety, the container to explore that space, explore ourselves, not just the mind, but explore our whole self. And in that exploration and the allowance of the permission of that, we can then become part of the river of life, this cosmic river that I see, this cosmic web where we connect, we plug in into this system that is to say that is ancient is not accurate at all. There's no don't no beginning, there's no end. It's just is, and it's always available. And when I woke up after a few hours, my friend he ended up crashing here, and I said, well, I'm gonna go wake up and I gotta do my mantras, I gotta do my breathing. And he looked at me afterwards. He's like, how are you not tired? And I said, because you see, there's many ways to feed the body. There's so many ways to feed the soul, right? There's so many ways to engage with the energy. And that's what's coming through here, and how we're going to weave this conversation today is ways of explorations around what we perceive limits, because with those limits of our perception of our reality, there are blockages that don't give us the opportunity to experience a different perspective of life. But when we open ourselves to explore that and to be vulnerable in that space, right? And to release whatever idea that we already have around time, around even the idea of sharing, right? And we really open ourselves and we connect intentionally, we connect to that source energy. It's miraculously what it can do, the experience that we can have. And beyond the experience is how it nourishes, how the body responds. That in science, perhaps it doesn't make any sense because it's something far greater than what can be explained with logic. And so today's topic is around a lot about remembrance. It's a lot about past lives that I want to bring forward here today and how that connects to today, to your life here on this vessel, in this time that you're in now, and how that relates to the blockages, the stories, the lack of giving ourselves the permission to explore ourselves and to not hook ourselves to any ideas of I'm crazy or this is delusional or this is this or this is that, but to actually be okay with whatever comes through and observe it. And in that observation, that in that practice, we start to observe ourselves, our behaviors. We start to observe our own essence. That's the first dimension, right? As I shared in the previous live calls, the first dimension is like, let's say, it's like consciousness itself. And then it transmuted itself into the second dimension to experience itself, right? And then we have the third dimension to experience itself in a physical form or in a form of containment of energy, and so on with the different dimensions. And so this is what I'm speaking of, is when we actually, there's so much talking about like the fourth and the fifth dimension and all these things. But when we actually go back, say, and we see the one within ourselves and we are able to observe ourselves from that second expression of the second dimension, to then understand or to get a different realization of the manifestation of the 3D of the third dimension, we start to have a deeper awareness of the idea of ourselves. But it starts with that which one must recognize oneself to then observe oneself. And in that observation is what is the opportunity to transmute, if that makes sense. And so, but if we are, let me put it in this way as well. The difference between someone who sees the shadow versus someone that's experiencing being the shadow. It's the same thing. However, the individual who is experiencing being the shadow, it doesn't see itself as a shadow because it is the shadow. It's experiencing the light that is casting onto itself, that is creating the shadow, versus being the light that is experiencing the casting of the shadow. They're the same thing. They're just different expression of the essence of that which I'm speaking of, the light and the shadow in this polarity, right? And so this is so simple, yet it sounds perhaps complex because the simplicity of it is just the practice of awareness. And the awareness is in the observation of our thoughts and being very clear around what is something that we have learned as a form of mechanism of defense, of survival, whether it's how we grew up, the environment that we have been exposed to or were exposed to, versus the opportunity of outside of that reality that is calling from within. And that's where it gets complex. It's that you have to observe it, but since you're observing yourself from that perspective, then this version of yourself is also observing yourself from this perspective, right? So this paradigm, this dynamic becomes the yin and the yang, the polarity, right, between the two that coexist at the same time, that can be experienced at the same time. So I went a little deep there, and hopefully everyone's tracking. But the point of this is, when we start to receive, we're in an era now where a lot of people are remembering things. And these memories can come in dreams. These memories can come as impressions. These memories can come in forms of things that we do that we're naturally just know how to do, or places that we go to that feel familiar. It's not always in the form of, oh, I'm receiving all this memory of this life I've had. Sometimes it's very subtle. Sometimes it's picking up a paintbrush and feeling it so natural for you to paint. And there's nothing you can explain, but it's not so difficult for you to learn this. It's almost like it's within you, because it is. And so the more we, within the idea of awareness, the more we start to, with the conscious mind, engage with the subconscious mind. That is, that when we are in the dream state, for example, we go into the subconscious. And in the subconscious, we connect with our soul, and therefore with our spirit and beyond. The more we bring awareness, conscious awareness, to the conscious aspect of our reality, and we start to merge those neurons, quite literally, like it's different neuron paths that shoot in different directions. They make that connection of the brain. The more that we start to become aware of that which is beyond this life or this timeline, that it lives in the conscious mind. And so, in other words, the more you start to recognize it and you acknowledge it and you get curious about it, it will expand. And there's a lot of different teachings around this from different parts of different parts of the world, let's say, from the Bible sense, from Buddha, from Hinduism as well, right? And actually a lot of even studies or teachings from what I call the guardians of the rainforest, of the Amazon rainforest, the indigenous people. And you start to see a lot of this common language that speaks about this awareness and this connection, right, that we all have available. And so last call, I also spoke about the fourth dimension and how there is no time and there's no space, right? And so when we are having these deja vu moments where something feels familiar, or like it's like it already happened, we're tapping into those split of a second, into those moments of the quantum field. I love just to use these words because they mean nothing, but it's just language, right? So hopefully it makes sense. Is this quantum space that there is no time and space, right? So we're, for a split of a second, tapping into that frequency where everything is. And so the more we engage with honoring what's coming through what we call our intuition, and through the connection with whatever source means to you, then the more that we are plugging into that, let's say, like greater intelligence, to that harmony, to that river of life that is beyond this planet, but it's with this planet. It's our solar system, and it's our universe. It's the river, but it has its laws, if you will, that creates, not creates, but expresses harmony. So from here, what happened is we've built a world that we've disconnected ourselves so much as human beings. We're disconnected with ourselves, and of course, we're also disconnected from our earth, right? And there is this mixture right now where there's a lot of talks about star seeds and different realms and all the codes and portals and all of this it's actually it's real. Nevertheless, it has its place. Nevertheless, is people are almost like we're even looking to go to Mars. We're looking to go somewhere else instead of taking care of our planet here, instead of understanding the planet here. So we've built this or created this behavior as humans that the more we become disconnected from that natural current that we belong to, the more that we're seeking to actually find meaning. We're more seeking to find answers. And we're almost doing it in the hard way, if I may say. And if we look back into some of these times, the time of Buddha, the Lord Buddha, the time of Jeshua, um, the time of the various different beings that have come on this earth, from the Egyptian times to the Mayans to the Hinduism as well, the Hindus, right? And so there's all of these different expressions of, as I've mentioned before, of examples of how it can look like when we are connected, to be connected as this vessel that we call the human vessel. And so within this, why is it important? Let me just take a little pause there. Why is any of this matter? Because at the end of the day, maybe all of this is just information. It only becomes wisdom when we open ourselves to exploring that as an embodiment, not as just information that we're consuming and we're just analyzing or we're just receiving from the mind, because it's just that, it's just information. How does this apply to you? Why does this even matter? There's so much information out here in the world nowadays. Well, because my invitation to you all is beyond of the science and all these words that I'm using. I want to bring an invitation and awareness of how you're feeling, what is becoming alive, what thoughts are coming through, what sensations in the body are coming through, because that is a greater intelligence that I'm inviting us to tap into in this conversation, in this transmission of the vibration of what I'm speaking of here, that your body is reacting to, that the mind is bringing certain things to your psyche in this moment. That is actually what this is really all about. And it's the key to what I'm speaking about. So if we cannot find the peace from within ourselves, and when I the peace from within ourselves, I'm not saying that I am complete, fully in this joy, and I don't know anything like this. The peace from within that I'm expressing from a very humble space, it's the I am idea. It's the one essence of that. Within that I am essence, there's nothing that I need. There could be things that I could want, but to recognize, to realize that I have everything I need, really. And beyond that, it's within the I am that I am everything. It's this detaching of I am just Alejandro, right? And that is important to what I'm speaking on here as well. It's like, well, actually, yes, sure, I am this name I've been given. And if I am energy, and if I am this being in this vessel, in this body, and I am part of this net, cosmic net, if you will, and if I am an expression of consciousness, then I'm everything at the same time. But beyond the mind, the only way in my experience that I've so far and continue to always expand upon is to release, to go in front of a tree and release the idea that that's even named a tree. and simply just let go of everything you think, whatever identity you have of that. I'm not even going to call it plant because I'm naming it again. Just that energy, that energy. And feel, not analyze, but feel whatever comes through, right? And with the intention to connect. That's it. The intention to connect. Just as the intention that we have the intention to connect with people, the intention to connect with the universe, source. Intention is the driving force. It's the focus that creates the experience in this vessel. So when once we release everything like this and we put into practice, I'm not saying that after this, if you go outside and connect with a tree, you're gonna reach nirvana and you're gonna I am a tree. No, I'm not saying this because maybe it will happen. Who knows, right? But what I am saying, it's a practice. It's shifting the way that we are perceiving things from let's say the programming, right? That something is this, it's a box, right? And then releasing the fact that it's only a box because that's what I've been taught that it is. It's like if I said all my life I've been told that this is a hand, and I just was only shown this part of the hand, right? But this is also the hand, but it looks completely different, right? And this is the hand, and this is the hand, and this is a hand, and this is a hand. There's so many expressions, right, of the same thing that's experienced completely differently, depending on how you look at it. But if this is all I know, then this is only the reality that I am experiencing. Okay, so this is goes again with within this all of this awareness. I, for example, when I first started receiving memories of past lives, I would just be, as always, very honest with all of you. I thought I was going crazy. I was like, and I've lost myself. Nice. Fantastic. Wow, okay. And it became stronger and stronger. And that was years ago. And I just didn't know what to do with it. Nevertheless, there was something very subtle within myself that was like, you don't need to understand it. Just observe it. I didn't talk to anybody about it. But in those moments where I would have meditation, things would come in and these experiences would happen, these activations where I would come out of a meditation and I would be dizzy. I could barely walk and I would like be crawling to the bathroom because I was feeling nausea because I felt like I got a concussion. That's what it felt like. And I thought that was normal. I'm like, oh wow, I guess this is what happens when you meditate really deeply. I don't know. I didn't know. I didn't have a teacher. So I was experiencing all these things that I didn't know whether it was normal, whether I was losing my mind or it was real or not. And I went through that. And I want to be very real about this with you all because it's easy for me to talk about like, oh, yeah, trust and all these things, but I want to be real that I went through and I've been going and it never ends, right? But up to this point, to be able to speak on this in the way that I am in this moment, I went through a lot of confusion. I went through a lot of questioning. I went through a lot of um, thinking I was mad, gone mad, right? And the beauty about all of this is that, nevertheless, even within those experiences that are very human, there was something subtle there that I was curious about. And I leaned into that curiosity within myself. And I allowed that curiosity to be the guide, the compass to these experiences. Okay. And I was never, and I'm not religious. I never have been religious. And my connection with what some might call God, divine, whatever you prefer to call that energy, happened in these natural states of wanting to connect within myself. And that's where the clarity started to come. That's where my body, the feelings of buzzing, my hands and my eyes becoming activated, seeing colors, seeing people, seeing what people call spirits or beings, and being like, I am for sure lost it. Like I actually went to the hospital and had myself checked. I'm like, maybe I have a tumor, it's causing me to hallucinate. But there was nothing there. Like your brain is super healthy. I was like, oh, okay. But this is very real. Like I went through these things and I just want to be very vulnerable with you all and very real. That the point of me sharing this with you all is that it's okay to also feel like unsure about some of the things that sometimes we experience. Maybe you're clairvoyant, maybe you feel things, or you can predict things. You're able to see into the future. I say it like this because it's an illusion. Like you're tapping into time, right? Into that fourth dimension, into that quantum field. Maybe you have gut feelings, as people say, or your intuition tells you when something is not, a person doesn't align, or a place isn't in alignment. But what happens is we live in a society where we live, oh, that's crazy, that's woo-woo stuff, that's not real, all these things. So we get into our heads about it instead of exploring that and just explore it and observe it. Allow it to be. If it's coming naturally, let it be. Just that. And see how it feels in the body as well. Okay. And so as this continue on, I have many different layers here, but there came a point where I started to accept. And as I was accepting these things about myself, it was a parallel of work that I was doing to heal myself, to accept myself, to accept my traumas, my pain, my insecurities, my fears, my judgment towards myself. And as I was going deeper within this self, right, this awareness and this acceptance and the idea of like forgiveness and all of these things and love, right, self-love, and even that of love itself, it was a parallel of like all these other experiences that were coming through that I also was needing to accept, and I didn't have to understand it. And so then when I was tuning into different past versions of myself, then people would be like, man, like you're shapeshifting. Their eyes would get huge. And be like, you look so different right now. And I started to feel when that version of myself would come through. And it sounds, I don't know, whatever it sounds like, but it was a very subtle feeling. It's not like there's awareness to it. It's just very subtle, like how different information or wisdom or mm, things would come through that in this life I didn't know. As I was saying it, I was learning about it in my conscious mind in this life. And the shape shifting was something that was, I started to see it within myself, doing mirror work and things like this. And sometimes it's freaky. It was shocking. But nevertheless, I continue to just accept, right? I'm just now coming out and sharing this depth. This is over 10 years of a journey of many layers that I've come to be at this point, right? Where I really went deep, super deep of this journey of consistently just the acceptance. And so all of this comes back to, as far as on an expansive level that we talked about quantum fields and all these things, it's also in a micro level, right? For us to reflect within ourselves. What I said earlier today around what part of you are you not allowing you to be you? That's a question that I have asked myself and continue to ask myself from time to time to check in within myself. That only I can answer that question. But we have to be willing to even explore that question to bring into a conscious self, as we would. We ask so much questions to others, but how often do we ask questions to ourselves? And when we sit with those questions, how does that look like? How is that relationship with yourself? Because you're not going to receive an answer, so to say, if you're being judging or you're being harsh with yourself, just as you wouldn't with a friend. So you have to explore the safety that maybe you never even experience yourself in your own life, because I know I didn't growing up. I had to, through the divine, explore and learn what that safety was for within myself, so then I could be an embodiment, so then I could provide it with others. But it was never there as a child. And then I was able to provide the love that was never there from my parents to my parents, and the safety to them that they never provided to me. All of this because I explored, I asked myself, I explored myself, and I allowed myself to be in the various different processes within that expression. And that is available to every single one of us here. So I guess I'm saying is trust yourself. We're in a time right now where we need to trust ourselves. And I dare say we need to. We get to. Yes, but we also need to. Because we can only give that to ourselves. And so this is my invitation as well. As you're hearing these things, what are the stories that are coming online for you right now? What are the limitations? What are the things that are telling you you're not good enough, or well, this or that, which it's putting you down. It's not encouraging you. It's not bringing that safety to explore. Because if you don't have that, then anything else that I say here won't matter. You're just in a loop. In my humble observation of every day, everywhere I go, even when I watch a soccer game, my buddy was laughing at me as we're watching it's a game. It's just a game, right? It's football, it's soccer. And I told him, like, he's like, afterwards, he was like, man, are you good? I'm like, I'm just moving some energy. And then he asked me about it, and I shared what I saw and what I felt. And he was laughing. He's like, man, all this time I thought you were just being able to enjoy yourself and watch the game. I was like, brother, there's no turning off. There's no turning off. Right. And I trust that. I don't get in my head about it. I'm just like, okay, I'm experiencing this and it's my reality. And then literally maybe like 10 minutes after that, four messages from four different people, my friends who are very connected, reach out to me about, hey, I'm feeling this in your field. Are you okay? Like, because we're all very telepathically connected. Not that I needed that, because I didn't, but it came, right? Beyond myself, beyond saying anything to any of these people. And so this is how we can start to open the space for us to receive guidance, for us to trust sometimes the things that may seem coconuts. It's like, how is that? No, there's no way, right? If you say so. But and then there's an opportunity there because you never know. It doesn't matter where you are in your stage, in your path, or how old you are. All of these stories, these ideas. What matters is what do you do now? What do you do with your awareness? And do you feel peace with what you perceive to be or feel to be your purpose here? That can just be to smile, just be a happy person and spread joy. I met these people. That's like, oh, this is your purpose. That's awesome. That's it. And they're just joy. I've seen and I've met, let's say, angels, what we call angels, like in the physical body, in the homeless people. And then they saw me and we had this little seeing one another and the teachings of it. It was some of the most beautiful experiences, right? But that don't fit the idea of what we will perceive an angel to be. We have to let go. and open to receive beyond the wisdom and the information that's here in logic, that it has this place. Science has this place. There's something far greater available as well. Okay. And so when we start to remember, I think I have memory of, I don't know the exact number, like 30 something different past lives, right? Across not just on this earth, but in different realms, in different places, dimensions. Some of them are not even like a physical body. Um, but there's been two of them that have been coming really strong as far as memory, as far as like embodiment, or that I don't need to say what they are, but there's two particular energies. One, both of them actually, that was like, this is so no. You know, one of us like, what? It's so far out there. It's not even from this, let's say this world. And the other one that is from this world is like, no, that's just coconuts. It's weird. It's whatever, like with the dialogue. But on a serious note, I was just completely in denial of it. I was like, this is not real. It's a construct of my imagination, but I couldn't pinpoint it. I tried. I really did. I really did. And then what the interesting thing is how much of it was coming from random people saying things to me out in the streets. And I just felt it and I couldn't deny it, but I would never say anything. I would just, and so again, how many of you have been in this situation or are in this situation where there are things within yourself that you're like, oh, this is scary. And definitely don't want to tell anybody about it. They're gonna think I'm weird. Right? That's awesome. I invite you. Come be weird with me. Let's be weird together. Because to me, that's being real and authentic. And we should, my goal is to normalize for us to be ourselves, our essence, our true essence, to give ourselves permission to do that. We idolize like, oh man, look at that. That's a Ferrari. It's a piece of metal. And oh, you go crazy for a piece of metal, and you, oh my gosh, but then you don't realize the person next to you is one out of 8 billion. Why don't you look at every single person as that? For they are one within one expression, and that is unique because we don't see ourselves that way, right? And so all of this, hopefully you're connecting the dots. And if not, just let it marinate, put it on medium low, not high, don't let it get burnt. Let it marinate there and wherever it feels in your body. You do need to understand it, but just honor what comes through is my invitation, right? So I want to say one last thing here before I take a pause. Trust yourself. Trust yourself and what you're receiving, what's coming through. All I'm doing here, all my purpose here is to become a mirror as you are a mirror to myself. And the reflection that I choose to focus on within myself and within others is the acknowledgement of the light and the shadow. But in a world where we put so much emphasis on the shadow, I choose to invite all of us into the light to then see the shadow from the light that is the light that is within us, that connects us, so that you may see those shadows from a place of love, of safety, and of trust. So trust yourself and give yourself the permission to explore whatever comes through. I met David from the Bible. I've never read the Bible, by the way. I just know it. And I just met this guy who was like David. And I saw his soul. Like I was like, oh, I didn't even, I mean, I just recognized him as that. And of course, I don't say anything, right? I see different things in people. And he, at one point, had the courage to share. He's like, I feel this. I felt this all my life, and I never told this to anybody. And the courage that it took for him to even say that. And it didn't come from an ego. This is not a person that's out there saying that he's this, the opposite. He's like, no, right? And what if he isn't? Why doesn't what why does it matter if he is or he isn't? I just trust. I trust. That's what came through before he even said anything. And then he said it. And I didn't say anything at all about it. There's no explanation to that. It just is. Does that mean that he's this whatever idea of that David that was then? No, that's one aspect that's coming through with him. But then once you see it, then you see the soul, you see the spirit. It makes sense. And the wisdom he spits out like nothing, right? So that's just an example of some of the experiences I've had out of many where I've seen people or people have seen different versions of myself. And it sounds weird, but it's really not because energy cannot be created or destroyed, right? It transmutes from one aspect to another, changes from one form to another, and can expand. The expansion is not a creation, it's a transmission. So therefore, we are infinite. And so the idea of past lives is just the experience of that which we call the soul, and then beyond that, which we call the spirit, and the different layers of that which is energy expressing itself in different forms of expression. So I'll stop there with my science class and give everybody a chance to take a breather and opening it up for anybody that would like to share anything or ask anything. I know that was a lot. Hopefully everybody was able to digest that. Okay. And it's okay if you don't want to say anything. I just opened the space just in case. Maybe a question would be what resonated with you? What came up within this session or this live?
Can I say something?
Please.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for everything. It resonates. I'm sorry, my English is not 100%. I'm speaking French normally. I'm a
Same
French
here.
speaking somebody. This is why for me, French and Dutch, okay, English a bit less, but okay.
Yeah.
When I saw you the first time, I was thinking immediately, you are Jesus.
Oh, that's funny. Yes.
I am seeing Joshua.
Mm,
With my eyes now, I see that energy
mm,
immediately. I
mm,
don't know if
mm.
it can be, but I am feeling it like that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
And I'm happy for that. I'm honored
Mm.
I met Jesus live. I'm sorry. I'm
No, don't
sorry to tell you
apologize.
that now, because maybe for you feel another energy, but for me it is like that. Huh?
Thank you. I received that and I honor your truth here to receive that. So thank you. Thank you for expressing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I am
Anybody?
mute. Huh? I
Say
can
again?
unmute. I can
Yes, if you would like
unmute.
to,
Huh?
yes.
Okay.
Well, I'll give everybody else a chance. I just want to again say thank you Valerie, also for your courage, right? To be brave to express yourself and to say something like that. I just want you to know that it means a lot what you just did. It's not like, yes, it means a lot what you express, but it's what you just did. That's courage. That's honoring what you feel. And that's beautiful. That's exactly what this is really about. It's like, it doesn't need to make sense to anybody else because it's your truth. And whether that is something that I can say yes or no, this is why I never answered these things because I honor the truth and I honor your truth as I know my truth as well. And when the truth is known within one and another, there's no need for that acknowledgement because it's just there. It's just a knowing. And if we really trust that, then that's good enough. So thank you, really, again. It's beautiful to be able to witness and to have here for everyone here as well, that courage and that embodiment of expression in your truth. Anybody else? No pressure.
May I say something else?
Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
Okay. I also want to say I follow you 100% in everything what you are telling, huh?
Thank you.
Because I am busy myself since 2008 with all that.
Mm. Mm.
And it is now going faster.
Mhm.
And I need people like you for me to make what I feel inside me like, okay, I'm on the good way.
Mm.
I'm
Mm.
right with what I'm thinking. I feel now, okay, I'm not alone in some things I cannot share with everybody. In
Mhm.
fact, with almost nobody.
I understand.
And you have here and there people, but I have detached myself from a lot of things in the past,
Mhm.
and you feel sometimes it is a lonely job,
Oh, yes.
most of the time, in fact, but I feel not lonely.
Mm.
I'm all time, I feel I'm guided. God is always with me,
Mhm.
even if I am maybe alone. I'm not feeling alone. I'm thinking, okay, I let people think what they want, but I follow what I feel
Mm.
is good for me. And when
Yes.
I heard you talking about 3D, 5D, and the 4D, you are right. We are not talking about the 4D enough. Eh?
Mm.
Almost. We go from 3 to 5. Eh?
Mhm.
And where is the 4D?
Mm. Yes.
Nobody's speaking about that.
Mhm.
But that is what I am feeling now. I am in the middle of the 4D. Eh? The 3D, it is past for me. I'm not busy with that anymore. Eh?
Mm.
Although I am here, of course, in that
Yeah.
cinema, in that theater,
Mm.
but I'm not busy with that anymore. Eh? That is not my life anymore.
Good. Thank you for sharing that. I see that. I see what you're sharing, and I see your expansion in your energy field, and I see your very wise and very experienced soul. And it's beautiful for you to share that. Thank you for being able to share in this way as another beautiful example of what it can look like. And it doesn't mean that it's easy, right? As you express, there are many
No,
things for those of us who walk in this path who receive so much, or we are experiencing life in such a unique way, to feel like all my life I felt like I've never belonged here. And I there are many things, many things that there's no space to talk with people, and that's okay, right? But it's like what you're saying is we are finding more and more of each other. And that's part of why I create something so small like this
Mhm.
pilgrimage that I'm going to be going first in Europe, and then in South America, then in Asia, in Africa, and then I will end in the Middle East. This pilgrimage that I've received to go on.
Ah,
It's to connect with people, right? And like allow the opportunity to share and to listen and to be in this, what you're speaking of, right? Beyond here. It's not to bypass here, but it's like, okay, it's time to open the space
yes.
for the
Mhm.
expression. So thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful.
Because I have been in the real 3D with I was a travel agent. I have been an entrepreneur. I had my own travel agency for years, but it went bankrupt since Corona. All
Mhm.
that Corona stuff, all that Corona comedy in my eyes. So my life changed from one day to another. I lost everything.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like so many people who didn't ask something and suddenly everything is finished. And from that moment on, it went for me. I turned from one side immediately to another,
Mhm.
and everything went faster and faster from that moment on. And although it was very difficult at that time, I would never go back in that time.
Mhm.
We are now ready for something else, for finally where we belong, huh?
Mhm. Mhm.
I think. Huh?
Oh yes. It's a very profound time, Sabrina.
Mm.
Yes. Mhm. Thank you so
Mm.
much for sharing. That was really beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Leticia, the floor is yours. And the camera zoomed in for that for whatever reason. Don't know why it does
Okay.
that.
I was curious about your past life stuff because a lot of what you say is very parallel to my journey. So I'm just always fascinated to find or align with people that are on like
Mm,
a very parallel um, journey with me. Okay, so for me, my past life stuff that has come up has been like to explain all of the trauma or the experiences that have happened in this lifetime. So give me that clarity. But for you, when you started to see these past lives, how did like for you, what was the benefit of that, or what was
mm.
like, was it just you're just seeing it and then let it go, or did it have a purpose for you?
Thank you for your question. I will answer this question in this way. Yes, it has a purpose. However, that wasn't always something that I knew right away. Okay. That's a very important piece of information because when it was first happening, I was like, okay, cool. So I'm an alien, okay, or oh, I'm this and I'm that, and right, I was trying to put it into this place, into this life, because I was hooking myself to it. I was identifying myself with it instead of just accepting it. And so when I started to accept it is when it started to make sense of its purpose. For example, when I speak about certain things, the way I speak and all these things, it's myself, right? There's nothing that I'm trying to do. It's just coming out. Sometimes it's information I express, like of that I'm remembering of things about during Egypt before the Egyptian Empire came. I was 6 years, 7 years ago or so. I have a video and I've never posted it. I have many videos I never posted where I talk about the pyramids. and the chambers that are underneath the pyramids. And I spoke about, and 7, 8 years ago, this was like super woo-woo stuff. And then now all this stuff is coming out. So to answer your question, what is the purpose of that? Well, that was an example to trust what I am receiving, right? Because that's, although like, well, what does that have to do with my life now? Well, guess what? When I tap into the grid of the earth, I work with the pyramids, not just in Giza, not just in Egypt, but in many different parts of the world, which are many are still buried. But I have memory of these places from different past lives. And it's coming out. They're tools, right? Or the big ones, Lumeria. That's a big one. It's been one of the strongest ones, that's especially living here in Hawaii. It's why I'm here. One of the reasons why I'm here. That was one of the, I would say, very humbly, of course, always use your discernment, was one of the beginnings of humanity. A very important time where we were in harmony, actually. And what happened in the split from Lemuria to Atlantis and all of that. And so what's the purpose? Well, when I go to the beach and I'm singing and then whales start coming and dolphins and people are freaking out and all these turtles are surrounding me and like, I cannot explain this, but it's happening. Well, cool. So turtles come and dolphins came and whales and you were singing. Maybe it's a coincidence. Like, how does that help? Because there's a language there. The whales stop here in Maui every year for a reason, out of all the places. And that once upon a time, we used to be more in harmony and connection with the beings, the animals on this planet. And so there's an embodiment in the exploration of what comes through and opening up space for exploration and allowing. Okay. Another example I'll share with you, I've never read the Bible and all these things, and I start quoting things from the Bible, and then I never read it, and I will not read it. I don't need to. I don't want to read the Bible. I'm okay with that. But I can quote it, and there are things that I feel and see that are not on the Bible that people have told me that are very, it triggers people sometimes. For example, right? Or the Egyptian times before the pharaohs, there was harmony there in Egypt, and it was a complete different technology and way of being that in the modern history isn't tapped into that yet. Why we can't figure out how some of the things that were done in Egypt were done. There's memory there. Well, how does that apply here to this life? Again, right? Because this is a very common, like people remembering about Egypt, very common. We're remembering about Atlantis and Lemuria and all these different Tibet, all these different lives or times, because it never stops. You see, we're picking up where we left off. And so we can use that wisdom, experiences that lives within ourselves when we tap into that record of memory to continue our purpose. That's why it's not everybody that's tapping into this. Like I'll briefly share with you, what was my first remembrance was being a tree. So exciting. What? It was like electricity. It was like this constant, like, and whoa, like so much energy, like so much energy. And I'm like, fantastic. So I was a tree. How does that help me today? Well, because now when I go to places, I feel the trees. And then when people are like, oh my gosh, how is the wind becoming stronger? How is this? There's this, they think I'm doing some magic trick or whatever, but it's like, no, if I was a tree, then I understand air. So when I breathe, that comes from the tree, right? The oxygen, I'm connecting to that life source, what some might call prana ana. Life above, life below, there's life force within. So I would say that the first memory of being a tree, of being here as a tree, it holds a very important meaning in my life, to remember to breathe and my connection to breath, and that is life. So I just give you some different examples of that, and it's not trying to put it into a box, but again, it's allow it to not be in a box, it's just to be. Okay. Last thing I'll share with you around this, it was like something I say this is coming to me in this moment, is just like Lord Buddha, right? Oh, the Zoom. When he was a prince, very wealthy, right? And he left to go to the forest to meditate under a tree. And when he reached nirvana was because he had to face all the different versions of the psyche, of the mind, of himself, to then reach that state. That nirvana is the same thing that Jeshua spoke about, or Jesus. It's Jeshua, but maybe even better is Jesus. As Jeshua spoke about the kingdom of God, it's not a place. There's no heaven. It's a frequency. It's a way of embodiment, a direction. Just like that nirvana, it's available. It's here. It's within us, actually. And so why does that matter? Why does it all matter? That's a question only you can answer. Because life matters because you give meaning, because you say that it matters. So let it matter what is within yourself and the connection of what is within yourself as well. And explore that. Don't think about it. Feel it in your heart. And let the answer come from that space. Really long answer. Hopefully that answered your question. And I know nothing, so always use your discernment. So whatever I say is just a perspective. It's just this. So just know that there's many ways to look at that expression. So always use your discernment. And follow what resonates in your heart. That's the only thing I will say is forget about anything I say. Just remember this. Follow your heart. Go here. Let the answers be here.
You're so funny. That's my intention every time I come into this class. I'm like, I don't know what he says, but I'm going to just listen with my heart. Just stop it.
I love that. Thank you for sharing and thank you for asking that question. Hopefully that helps you.
I could say something.
Mhm.
First of all, I've only come across you maybe a week or two ago on Instagram. Just flew through my feed and I was drawn to it because this is a compliment. There was a lot of authenticity and humility in your transmissions, and it really spoke to me because part of the thing that I have an issue with is a lot of the spiritual egoism and you have to be a certain way, you have to think a certain way. And I'm very much an independent thinker and feeler. So I just want to pay you. So I wanted to come and meet you and thank you for everything that you're saying. But what really drew me in was that whole message of allowance, like of allowing. Because I've been on quite the journey for quite a long time, but especially since 2020. I had a similar situation as, oh, I'm sorry, what's your name? Valerie. I also had a travel thing and lost everything in COVID. And it was the start of a huge series of events, which I now just see as complete redirection. It's just like, cool, I'm on this journey and I don't know where I'm going to show up, but it's going to be good because I'm listening to my heart. So I just wanted to echo how important that state of allowing is, and not trying to figure every single thing out in every moment, and just giving the space and time to be and to feel and to become and to trust that there is a plan, like, and that you can just, as long as you're following the energy in your heart, you tend to end up in the right space. And the other thing that drew me into this call was I also do a lot with past lives, and that's been happening a lot over the past 5 or 6 years. And the beautiful part for me about remembering the past lives is perspective. And it's the more you become aware of that come into your consciousness. For me, my memories are so visceral. They're so like, it surprised me in the beginning. Now it doesn't surprise me as much. It's like, that feels like me. It feels like how I felt last week doing the thing I was doing 5 minutes ago, 5 weeks ago, 5 months ago. Like that sense of like, that's me. And the sense of me. So not the sense of physical me, but the sense of eternal me, which is so beautiful, because the more you tap into the very different expressions of your own soul, the more you realize just anything is possible. Anything can happen, and you don't need to know everything right in this minute. You just have to allow, and you have to be, and you have to listen, and you have to be present, and be willing to evolve and awaken and all the things, without pressure, without judgment, without all of that thing. So everything you said resonated with me very much. And I'm happy to meet you and the women that have showed up in the chat, in the group today.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Francesca, for sharing that beautiful journey that you've been on, and your reflection within the topic here, and also how you felt the resonance and the transmission of my messages and things like this. And thank you. Thank you for that. I received that. Really honored to receive such a beautiful expression. And it's that everything that I share here, it's not just stuff I read. I'm just be honest. I'm always honest, but I don't read books. Like I don't read. I don't, it's all experiences. It's all things of sitting out in nature and staring into a tree for 6 hours and connecting and having deep experiences that are just, they're just very real. And I guess what I'm saying is this authenticity is, I also see that with you as well and feel that with you, Francesca. And it's beautiful that you're allowing yourself, and that resonance that you connected with so much. I want to say that I see that in your field. I see like the watering of the seeds of the seeds you planted, and now allowing them to flourish, to grow, and to attend to the garden of your heart, and to be in love with it, right? And so that's really beautiful. And again, thank you so much for sharing that with all of us.
I forgot. The other thing is, in the past year or two, I also had memories of being Lemurian and from Atlantis. So we are connected, like we all are.
Oh, yes.
Wild. I just love the way it works, the way it flows and connects. The thing that you said about the web, and I think in one of the things that you shared in the past couple of days, the graphic of the web, it really spoke to me. I'm like, yes, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm feeling. So right on, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? I know we're a little bit over, but it's fine. If anybody else likes to share, there's space for it. And if not, it's all right. But thank you, everyone who has shared, and for listening, for being open, for being here. And it's really a gift for me to be able to receive so much from just your presence, because I feel every single one of you and I see every single one of you. And yes, to Francesca's point, beyond the conscious awareness, this isn't by any coincidence at all. Whatever drove you here, whatever beyond what is being expressed in your psyche, in your awareness, there's a deeper layer. And if anything you got out of this, just a reminder of what you already know. Okay. And just to expand that, like really expand that and give yourself permission, right? To just know that you're not alone. And also that you can give yourself permission to flourish. Okay. So if anybody has anything else, have a beautiful rest of your day, everybody. And thank you so much again. Many blessings to you all. Stay in your heart. And I'm here if any of you need anything. And I hope to see you on the next one as well.